What's up, guys? Your boy got a new camera, some new lights. I hope it's better. I know the comment section was starting to get overrun with people not real happy with my camera situation. So I hope this works out a lot better for you guys. I think it's better. I didn't go for the $1,000 DSLR camera, setup. Maybe one day that'd be nice. But this is just basically the most high dollar fancy webcam I could find. So here we are. So guys, I got two comments about comments real fast. Number one, the hype and the hype train that was behind Ashes of Creation here the last 3 weeks or so, ever since the release of the verbal NDA, has finally started to come down. It's we're not getting the crazy views that we were getting and all that stuff. So we're at the point now where with this content that I'm releasing, I really could use your guys' help with likes and comments and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so that we can continue going. When I first started this, 1,000 subscribers seemed like something that would never ever happen. It took me 3.5 months to get 100 subscribers, and then it took me 2.5 months to get 200 subscribers, and then I've gone from 200 to almost 700 in a month, and that's been incredible. And thank you guys for that. But anyway, I'm within striking distance of 1,000. I think that's so cool. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. And then if you are subscribed, please leave comments. You could literally write for Google Analytics if that's all you want to say. But leave comments, press the like button. It only takes 1 second, and it really will help keep the content flowing going forward, and get my channel out there so that maybe we can get the views necessary to get that 1,000 subscribers. I'm ready to get there. But outside of that, I got to tell you guys, I'm still just blown away by you guys in the comment section. I started this originally because I wanted to build a community. I used to have a Star Wars The Old Republic community. I was really known on my server, and I was in a bunch of Discords, and if I hopped in a game, I had 600 people asking me to come tank raids for them and stuff like that, and it was great. And then as the game just kind of got crappier and crappier, the community fell apart. And I fell in love with Ashes of Creation and the ideas behind it and the concepts behind it. And I just want to talk about it all the time. I think about it all the time. And I thought, what would be better than to have a community around this game? And I started doing this, and you guys just come into my comment section. Y'all agree with me sometimes. You disagree with me sometimes. You agree and disagree with each other sometimes, but nobody's disrespectful. Everybody just lays out their feelings or their thoughts on a subject, and other people read and respond, and there's just no name calling, and it's just awesome. And I cannot thank you guys enough. I actually got a comment on one of my videos yesterday, and it reminded me of something that I said in the very first video that I have on this channel, which, by the way, don't go watch it. It's really bad. But it reminded me of that, and I think I made a very similar point to this guy, and I'm just curious. I kind of want to talk about it. I want to flesh out the ideas just a little bit, because I think this guy nailed it. So let's do that.
What you think about when you're born into a fire?
So in my comments, Katark said, "This is the main problem with PvP focused games, where the destruction of player created things, whether that is items, buildings, etc., is a fundamental part of the gameplay. That being that they push too many people away." So true. The list of what were otherwise good MMOs that have gone the way of the dodo because they focus too much on the PvP aspect of the game is getting close to endless now. Even games like Eve were forced to add lots of PvE-centric content. The absolute 100% reality is that the majority of people who are interested in and play MMOs are not interested in dealing with the neckbeardery that these sorts of games bring along with it. This creates a sort of snowball effect where the game releases, tons of people are interested, then the more casual players, and that's however you want to define that, eventually get sick of getting spawn camped for 10 hours, logging in to find that their stuff was razed to the ground while they were sleeping, etc., and they just give up and quit. Then what happens is the hardcore guys start complaining that the game is dying, there's nobody to PvP with, etc., not realizing or caring that they're the ones who ran everyone off in the first place, and complaining that the Care Bears just can't hack it. So in response to the torpedoing player base, the developers start adding in things that appeal to more casual players in an attempt to get the player base up. This then turns around and pisses off the neckbeards because they think the game is getting turned into a Care Bear game, so eventually they quit. And then you just have this crappy husk of a game that's neither good for hardcore PvPers or good for PvE types. Another component that is literally at polar opposites is gear. In a PvE game, you need gear to be impactful. Upgrades have to be noticeable. In a PvP game, if gear makes too big of a difference, then it becomes less about player skill and more about gear, and this is another dichotomy that just doesn't work, having PvE and PvP in the same game. So the developers are faced with a serious problem. If they make a purely PvP-focused game, then they're able to attract a relatively small sliver of the overall MMO player base. This means that they're not able to get as much funding, overall quality comes down, etc., etc. And if they put too much if they put in too much PvE elements, then they disenfranchise the PvPers. Ashes of Creation's idea so far is the best mix of ideas that I think could work in a PvPvE sort of game like it is. However, I think for it to be successful, they have to have things in the game where if you are a PvE-oriented player, then you can't force them to engage in PvP at all. If you do, you're immediately going to just cut a massive swath of the player base out of consideration of even playing the game. I know I'm kind of rambling, but it's a hard problem to solve, and I'm honestly not even sure if it's a solvable problem at all. Katark, thank you so much for that long, well thought out comment. That's, you just don't get that type of comment in YouTube comments. Usually they're always short and snarky, but that was really well thought out. And for the most part, I think you're dead on. I think you really hit at the heart of the issue. In my first video ever on this channel, it's called Top 5 Reasons Ashes of Creation Could Fail. I believe my number 3 reason was ignoring PvE content. And I talked about a lot of the same things that you did here, where basically you have to have PvE content in order to have enough people to fund your game, because that your casuals, there's not really casual PvPers, at least. I mean, there is to some degree in like World of Warcraft with the arenas and stuff, but when you talk about PvP games like this, there's not a casual PvPer. Everybody who's hardcore, or everybody who's planning to run around and kill other players and take their stuff and all that, they're hardcore PvPers. And I do think Katark is right about what he calls the neckbeardery, and I'm not really sure that's the right term to use. And I'm not even sure I'm a big fan of that term. But there's no question that there seems to be a certain group of people, and I guess they're pretty much more in the PvP crowd, although I don't know, you might be able to find a PvE equivalent to it, so I could be wrong. But there's definitely a group of people that really enjoy ruining the game experience for other players. Killing someone who was out mining and taking their stuff in a game where that's allowed is okay, fine. Like that's part of the game, and I think that's part of what will make the game exciting for a lot of people, even the PvE crowd, is that suspense of, this could happen in any moment. Sitting right outside of town and killing noobs as they walk out. They've just logged into this world. It's their first MMO, or it might not even be their first MMO, but whatever. They're just in awe of everything they're seeing, the buildings everywhere, and people running around interacting with vendors and talking over there, and the role players in the tavern over there, and they're just in utter awe of it all. And then they walk outside of town and immediately get killed and all their stuff taken. And it's like, what exactly did you accomplish by doing that? All you did was take somebody who might have stuck around and run them off, and then yes, he's right, you're going to complain later that there's nobody playing the game. If that's your bag, if that's the kind of thing you like to do, spawn camp people for hours, sit right outside of the major cities and kill people as soon as they exit town and stuff. Okay, I mean, you're free to do that. It's within the mechanics of the game. You're going to run everybody off, but okay, do your thing. But there are 2 points that Katark makes in this post that I think really deserve to be talked about, and I think are really solid points. And the first one is what he says: even games like Eve were forced to add lots of PvE-centric content. And that's true. Eve did have to add very PvE-centric content. I think they added the ability to stay in a section of space where like there is no PvP at all. And I'm pretty sure that, and this is the smart way to do it, I'm pretty sure that you can't get all the resources there. Like you have to go into the PvP area to get like some of the rarer rocks and ore and whatever. And so you can't have like the high end ships or the high end weapons without not necessarily engaging in PvP, but being in the PvP areas, being eligible for PvP. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. And that works for the most part. And it does allow the more PvE centric players to play. And so maybe Ashes could do something like that where, 300 meter radius around the nodes is a non PvP zone, and you can go there and engage in all the, mine and chop wood and all that stuff. But inside of that radius, the best stuff never spawns. You have to go outside of that radius to get it. And that's not a bad idea. Maybe Intrepid can look into doing that at some point, and that maybe end up what they have to do if people end up running off. But outside of that, they have the instance dungeons. I think somebody said that 20%. That Intrepid has said that 20% of the dungeons will be instanced. So you'll be able to go do those without having to worry about getting ganked by other people. So that's a good place to be able to do some content and play the game without having to worry about being ganked. But in general, the PvP aspect of the game is going to drive a lot with all the nodes and the rising and falling of the nodes and all that stuff. But having lots of things for PvEers to do, even if it's stuff that they can do where they have a possibility of being ganked, but going and engaging in PvP on purpose isn't the thing. Which I would assume just the leveling of nodes and the gaining of experience for nodes is enough to do that. It gives you stuff to do that's not just go kill other players. So Intrepid needs to be very careful about that and make sure that the PvE content is always there and flowing and good. And I want to be real clear about this because I think they'll do a pretty good job of it right now, because just if you look at the numbers that they're talking about, like 200 dungeons and all that stuff, but they've got to use their development dollar after launch. When you start looking at what you're going to be doing after launch, they've got to continue to add PvE content to keep the PvEers happy and playing the game and paying the bills, because in general, it is the PvEers that are going to, they make up the bulk of your revenue coming in. So got to do that. And the number 2 thing he says is that Ashes of Creation's ideas so far is the best mix of ideas that I think could add in or could work in a PvE. Wow. Learn to read in a PvPvE sort of game like it is. And again, I think he's 100% right about that. There are games out there that have a lot of what Ashes has right now. As far if you just want to kill players and be able to kill players and take their stuff, like there's games out there you can do that in right now, or just games that you can engage in lots of PvP, MMOs, Darkfall and not Darkfall, that's an old one. Good. Woo! Arcade and Black Desert Online are the two ones that really come to mind. Terra, Albion Online, they're out there. So you could do that if you wanted to. But everybody's excited about this game because of all these systems that they have in place that are going to stop a lot of what he said here. The casual players will eventually get sick of having their stuff raised to the ground while they were sleeping. And Ashes doesn't have that type of system in the game. You are not going to go to bed and wake up and all your stuff is gone and you not know that wasn't a possibility. Like the only way that's going to happen is if your node is sieged and you've known for 3 days or however long it's going to take that your node was going to be under attack, and that was going to happen at such and such time, and then you went to sleep instead of defending your node. Like that, it might happen then, but you're going to know that you're not defending your node, so it's possible. So they've done a good job of that, and so I'm very, very interested to see just how how that will work if they end up working. And then as he said at the end, I'm honestly not sure it's a solvable problem at all. And yes, if this doesn't work, somebody who's really putting a lot of thought into it and trying to come up with the best way to mix these two very different crowds. Like, I've been doing MMOs for a long time, and PvP players and PvE players, and I'm talking about the people who are like really hardcore into one or the other. They're not the same people. They're very different people in most cases. I mean, obviously there's always exceptions that prove the rule, but they're not the same people. So I'm curious if there's a way to solve the problem at all, and if this game doesn't do it, then I'm not really sure what will. And that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What is going to happen next? We had a test yesterday for a few hours, and then we have a longer test today, and they are starting to narrow down specific things we're testing. So I will give you guys an update on Saturday. I'll make a video that is just kind of talking about everything that has happened in the tests so far, so you guys will know where we stand with the testing. And then on Sunday, I will be doing another Q&A for the questions that I've gotten in my comment section. If you would like to have your question answered, all you have to do is be a subscriber to my channel and leave a comment with a question in it in basically any of my videos, and I will get to it. So I will see you guys tomorrow.